सकते हैं। हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे हरे
कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम राम
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
सब बोलो ना कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की।
Om Agyantimidandasya Jnananjanachalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jutapatakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Astatyate Satarine. Hare Krishna. I welcome everyone to Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Temple for this most joyous, auspicious, and merciful day of Sri Balaram Jayanti. Balaram is the first expansion and the original assistant of Krishna, who is in every way none different than Krishna in both all spiritual worlds and material worlds. In the spiritual world, there's only one purpose: bhakti ras, prema ras, exchanges of love, pure love, love that is eternal, that inherently embodies the essence and conclusions of all knowledge, and is filled with limitless, ever-expanding happiness, ananda. The Brahma Jyoti, which is the impersonal manifestation of Krishna's light, is like a sky. And the Vaikunthas are the planets, the spiritual planets that are ever existing within that spiritual sky. Within Brahma Jyoti, the realization that people seek is a state of blissfulness beyond all suffering, beyond all time, simply to exist in spiritual light. Now, compared to the happiness of this world, that is limitlessly better, because dukkhalayam ashashvatam, in this world, inevitably, every happiness leads to unhappiness. By the power of time, everything is taken away from us. And that's inevitable. There's no use philosophically arguing whether it could happen or not, because it happens to everyone. You may be an atheist, you may be an agnostic, you may be from one religion or another religion or a mixture of other religions and so many things. But still, we have to grow old, get diseased, and die. And in the process, padam padam yadvi padam natesham, there is danger at every step. And everything on the mental and physical platform that we attach ourselves, seeking the love of the heart, it will all vanish. And because human beings have a certain type of intelligence, we try to justify so many ways to be happy. But actually, the insects and the reptiles and the fishes and the animals, they're doing the same thing in their way. Maybe not as sophisticated, definitely not as complicated. But life is so short. Everything is so relative to our particular view of the species that we're in, the planet we're in. We're thinking 100-year lifetime is long time. But for Lord Brahma, 100 years is like one breath. And everybody who's in that planet, it's insignificant. And the little insects that are trying to live long life, Srila Prabhupada would sometimes refer to this particular insect that takes birth at sunset and grows up and finds a loved one and enjoys with the loved one and has children and has grandchildren and maybe even great-grandchildren. And then he dies of old age before sunrise. Now, for him, that's a long life. Because actually, you know, if any of us see him, we might go like that. And it could what to speak of, there's like dragonflies that come and eat them. But relatively, if they can last till the sunrise, it's really a long life. You know, if there was a queen of those insects, she would give a special certificate. So everything is very relative. But everyone is looking for happiness. Everyone is trying to avoid pain. Why? Why do we want happiness and why do we try to avoid pain? That's something every species has in common. And every category of every species. We may have different conceptions according to the modes of material nature of what gives us pleasure. In the mode of ignorance, a human being looks for pleasure by exploiting others without concern of hurting others if I gain. That's actually tamaguna, according to the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedic scriptures. To have some moral principles, but just to really want to enjoy sensual and mental activities, you know, through the senses, that's the mode of passion, Rajaguna. To accomplish, to acquire. Sattva guna is when a person actually finds much more pleasure in helping others. You know, a mother's love for a child is, if it's a proper consciousness of mother, that love has primary existence in the mode of goodness. Philanthropy, social welfare, where we actually really care about others. And that mode of goodness begins small with just the well-being of myself, and then so I can better serve my family, and then that expands to the community, the society, the nation, the international humanity, and that expands also to all living beings. That's the idea of ahimsa. Nonviolence doesn't mean just not to kill. It means to actually care about the rights of others with respect and not to cause any unnecessary harm. And by helping others, there's a certain type of pleasure that's much deeper than sensual pleasures or egoistical, exploitative pleasures. But then beyond that is what Krishna comes to teach. when he speaks the Bhagavad Gita, and actually all the avatars of all the great religions and spiritual paths throughout history are coming to give us this information. It is necessary to live in the mode of goodness, but the purpose is to transcend the modes of nature. Because if you just try to stay in the mode of goodness, it's just a matter of time till you're dragged down again to the modes of passion and ignorance. Because they're all so interconnected and they're all so twined together. They're mixed. Material consciousness means we're affected by the three modes of nature. And we say a person's in the mode of ignorance when that quality is prominent in the mixture. Or goodness is when that is prominent. But we're all mixed up. And the purpose of life is to understand that we're not this body and this mind, and we're not the ahankar, the ego, that is identifying with this body and mind. Aparayamatastvanyam prakritim, that we are the eternal soul, the jiva. And that jiva is part of Krishna, part of God. And our inherent nature, and the only thing that can truly satisfy the soul, is not just liberation from suffering, but it's experiencing the limitless beauty, sweetness, and power of Krishna's love. Because that's what the soul exists to experience. Maya means that which is not. We're trying to find enjoyment where that pleasure does not touch the soul. So in the spiritual world, which is the ultimate liberation, and which most living beings simply live forever, its purpose is simply Krishna expanding himself in so many ways, with limitless varieties, with limitless qualities and limitless qualities for limitless expanses of eternity, simply for rasa, prema rasa, or to exchange love. And this material world is considered to be a reflection of the spiritual world. Because we're actually looking for the same thing, but we don't really understand why it doesn't work. We're looking for God's love, but we don't know where that love is or how to connect to it. Because whatever love anybody has for us, or whatever power of love we have for anyone, it's all emanating from the Supreme Absolute Truth. This is the basic principle of knowledge. Janmadyashayadaha. The Absolute Truth is from whom everything emanates. Our propensity to be happy has its origin in God giving us happiness and us living for Krishna's happiness. And what gives Krishna happiness? When we receive it and share it. Bija pratapita. Every father and mother wants the children to share. So the spiritual world is where prema rasa, nitya lila, is forever existing. And the great acharyas and the Vedic scriptures are so profound because they give us technical information that's not found anywhere else about what's happening in the spiritual world and why. It's beyond time. But we're also limited by time. How is it possible for us to conceive of anything in eternity? We could imagine that yes, eternity, I know all about that. But it's actually achintya, it's inconceivable. So Krishna, who's the origin of everything that exists, his first expansion in the spiritual world is Balaram. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita describes Balaram as Swamsa. He's completely non-different than Krishna in every way. He has all the opulences and all the qualities. There are essentially two differences. One is Krishna has a complexion like a monsoon rain cloud, and Balaram like a white, beautiful, spotless spring cloud. And the other is Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Balaram is the original Supreme Personality of Servitor Godhead. That means he simply exists to give Krishna happiness. Balaram expands himself, and this is not something by time, this is an eternal thing that's always happening. Balaram expands himself to be the entire spiritual world of Goloka Vrindavan, of Vaikuntha. Just to provide an environment where Krishna's happy. And what makes Krishna happy? When everyone else is happy. You see, Balaram is not like a sectarian person. He's not just thinking, I'm just going to make Krishna happy and forget about everyone else. Balaram has supreme, unlimited compassion for every living being because he knows that what gives Krishna happiness is everyone's happiness. So he's making all these incredible arrangements forever so that Krishna can enjoy with us and we can enjoy with Krishna. Srimati Radharani is Krishna's Hladini Shakti. She is Krishna manifesting as her energy, as his energy. And that energy is the essence of the Hladini Shakti is prema, unconditional, unmotivated love. Now these things may sound quite hypothetical to us because we have to leave the temple and face Bombay traffic in a few minutes. And everything else that comes along with it. But this is the potential that the human life is meant to strive for. Balaram, he expands himself as a spiritual world with all its varieties. And then there are 5 rasas, or 5 loving relationships in Goloka Vrindavan, where Krishna in his original form of Shamsundar is eternally existing with Sri Radharani and their limitless devotees. There's Shantaras, a kind of neutral way of serving, like the trees. And Balaram expands himself to be Krishna's shoes. How many of you like comfortable shoes? Sannyasis traditionally go barefoot because they're feeling. It's actually really comfortable when you get used to it, because then the whole world becomes The whole surface of the globe becomes your shoes. And they're never too tight. And they never fall off. And they never get stolen outside the temple. So there's pluses and minuses for everything in this. He becomes Krishna's shoes, just so that at every moment Krishna's feet are feeling. The shoes are not just like dead matter, like we experience in this world. The shoes are the living person of Balaram in that form. You know, how he's massaging Krishna's feet and everything like that. He becomes Krishna's bed, Krishna's clothes, Krishna's jewelry. Everything is fully enlightened in consciousness, in ecstatic love. Nothing exists that isn't. There is no matter. There is nothing material in this spiritual world. This material world, so much of what we perceive with our senses and mind is material, but actually who's perceiving it and what is activating everything is spiritual. So there's a mixture. The material existence cannot exist without a spiritual force behind it. At every moment, everywhere, in every detail. But in the spiritual world, it's all pure ecstatic love. And everything that exists and everyone exists. Some Siddhir Haritosha. They simply exist to please Krishna. And what a community, what a family. That's the spiritual world. I remember our beloved Pujari, who is caretaker of our Radha Gopinath puja, Jananivas Prabhu. He came here once and he was giving a talk. It was on a festival day like this. And he said, actually, the spiritual world is nothing but family life. Everyone's family. Everyone's related one way or another. You know, there's Nanda, and there's Yashoda, and there's Upananda, and Abhinandan, and Sunandan, and Nandan, and Gopis, and Vrishabhanu, and Kirtida, and everyone family. And all the cows have their calves. And Krishna loves everyone, and everyone loves everyone, because everyone is without false ego. So Jananivas is telling us all about the glory of the spiritual world. It's nothing but family life. And yet he's a brahmachari. He's been a brahmachari. He became pujari in Radha Madhava and Mayapur Dham in 1971. That's like 53 years ago. He's just a brahmachari living. He was happy living in a little straw hut. And now he's happy collecting to build the temple of the Vedic planetarium all over the world. So brahmachari is actually preparing to enter into Krishna's family. And grihastas are just in another way preparing to be in Krishna's family. But unless we recognize the family of those who are striving to be in Krishna's family in the world we're living, then we don't really have much of a chance of actually activating the ideals that we're striving for. And then in Dasya Ras, Lord Balaram is in every way simply facilitating service. Actually, here at Radha Gopinath Temple, for those on this side of the room, these devotees, I offer you my tens and millions of obeisances. These devotees, when they first started coming, they were really young. But in those days, I kind of was like that too. But somehow or other, for the last 30 to 40 years, steadily, faithfully, in an exemplary way, carrying on, not only in their own spiritual practice at home, and we have brahmacharis who've been around that long too, their sadhana for all these decades, and their example, and their enthusiasm to assist Srila Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Nityananda to share this beauty of bhakti with the world. It's actually quite astonishing. But you remember in those days what the temple looked like? At the beginning, it was just one little room downstairs. And there were more rats than brahmacharis. And the rats were actually more powerful. And then somehow or other we came here, and it was a school, and we borrowed it in the early mornings, and now, after many, many years, when we finally actually had the whole building, then we could start renovating, because we couldn't really renovate when we were sharing. So now this wonderful altar and this wonderful temple room, and what to speak of air conditioning. That was a radical thing for us in those days. Keshav Prabhu, Srinathji Prabhu, and the family, they really became enthusiastic. Krishna Chandra and Radha Priya. And why? It's the same principle we're speaking of. Because the temple is a place to make offerings for the pleasure of Radha Gopinath. And why does Radha Gopinath bother coming to this material world? In Goloka Vrindavan, there's nothing but limitless pleasure. Why do they come here? Because they want to share that pleasure with us. And that means they want us to just receive it, their love. And they know the perfect way of doing it. So, whatever arrangements are here, or Radha Vrindavan Chandra in Pune, we used to be like, what was it, a military encampment or something? Huh? Yeah, it was very simple. And now Radha Vrindavan Chandra Temple and guest house and thousands of devotees and luxurious restaurants, and it's incredible. And devotees at Govardhan Eco Village are working so hard, and Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. Why did he build 18 magnificent temples in New Delhi? And he installed all those. Why do you want to put Krishna in a place like that? Because Krishna descends to this world. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam dharma samstapanataya sambhavami yuge. Because he cares about us, he loves us, and he wants to give us the chance to follow the principles of Dharma and understand philosophically, logically, socially, and experientially what is truly of value in life, and to strive for that. In this world, when a parent wants their children to be happy, they don't just say, go to school for a day. I would have been really happy as a child if all I had to do was go one day. But they make you stay in school. Why can't I play? You will understand in the future, and you will be grateful for us. So anything of value. People work. So in this world, we express how we value something by how much we dedicate ourselves to that pursuit. So in this world, in the spiritual world, there's no sadhana. We don't have to get purified. We don't have to learn anything. We simply love Krishna and Krishna loves us and we all love each other. That's reality. Reality the beautiful. Srila Sridhar Maharaj used to say like that. So, devotees, are making so many arrangements, and Krishna gives us a sadhana, and he gives us tapo divyam putra kayena sarvam. He gives us what seems to be austerities. But what it actually is, it's just we're dedicating our time to prepare ourselves to become purified so that we could actually experience the reality of the soul. And Krishna is so merciful in all of his avatars, Ram avatar, Krishna avatar, Varaha avatar, and especially Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. When they appear, they give the chance to everyone. It's not a matter of what you have or what you know. It's a matter of the sincerity of your intention and your willingness to surrender. Surrender means I will do what pleases Krishna in whatever situation comes. That's really what surrender means. Radha Gopinath has come here, and devotees have made this temple actually in the spirit of Lord Balaram. There's devotees downstairs cooking. It's like dasyaras. They're serving by preparing prasad. First offering it to Krishna, and then that Mahaprasad, because it will satisfy everyone that comes physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And some devotees are giving talks of Harikatha, and some are leading kirtans, and some are worshiping the deities, and some are trying to figure out how the sound system can be heard by everybody. And believe me, that is tapasya. More for the person speaking than the person speaking. But we spent years trying to get the right sound system. And, people go to school and study all kinds of technologies for years, just so that you can hear the lecture on Balaram Jayanti. But actually, those who come to hear are doing the same service. Srila Prabhupada would say there are two types of devotees. One loves to serve prasad and one loves to eat prasad. And actually, if you're in the right consciousness, they're both equal. Because the person serving prasad gets no satisfaction unless you're happy to eat it. Yes? So by eating it, you're serving them. And by serving you, they're serving you. Does that make sense? So this is bhakti. The receiving and the giving are both giving. Why does Krishna receive our offerings? Does he need food? I was seeing the Abhishek, as we all were, and the very last part of the Abhishek is so exciting. It really, if you absorb yourself in the bhava of the Abhishek, there is no special effects by any Hollywood or Bollywood technologies that could be more thrilling than seeing the water coming through those holes in that pot at the end of the Abhishek, yes? And what is it? It's just water. Now, does Krishna need water from us? You know, the expansion of Krishna's Mahavishnu. And he's laying in a causal ocean, which is infinite. And then there's the Garbhodak ocean. And then a drop of water falls from his feet and it becomes the ever-flowing Mother Ganges, Ganga. And he sends Yamuna down from the spiritual world. But still, Krishna is so happy to receive the intent of the love and devotion that's coming through those little holes in the form of the water. It's not the water that he likes. It's the spirit of cooperative devotion of the whole community. Because if you're sitting in the temple room watching that water falling on Krishna Balaram's beautiful deity forms, if you're happy, Krishna's so happy that you're happy. That's why he's doing it, to make us happy. And we're singing kirtans, and when we're chanting very sincerely, it's all interconnected. The person doing the kirtan, the person pouring the water, the person holding that pot and making sure it doesn't slip. You know, everybody is unity in diversity, and it makes something beautiful. That's a festival. And this Julan Yatra of Shri Radha Gopijana Ballava, you know, it's concluding today until next year. Radha and Krishna are swinging, and there's so many beautiful flowers, and on the altar all these beautiful... Hours and hours and days devotees are planning and making the flower garlands and making the decorations and planning not only what will please Krishna, what will please everybody. And giving us an environment, an atmosphere where we can truly value the opportunity of purifying our hearts and awakening love for Krishna in our lives. That's the whole purpose of everything we do. To receive and to share. That's why Krishna incarnates in this world. And Balaram is serving by facilitating everybody to enjoy with Krishna. And he's the original guru. That's what gurus are teaching their disciples and followers to do. They're empowered representatives, Shiksha gurus, Diksha gurus, empowered representatives of Lord Balaram. So in Dasyaras, so many services. In Sakyaras, Lord Balaramji is Krishna's brother. his playmate. In Vrindavan, he's brother, and we'll get to that. They're learning to crawl together. They're really brothers. And they're just totally there for each other. Then they're learning to walk together. Then they play together. They herd cows. They herd calves together and cows together. They're gopas. They're simply friends playing with each other. And as the elder brother, Vatsalya Ras, when the need is there, Balaram is like a parent of Krishna because he's elder brother, giving him advice, giving him protection. Does Krishna need to be protected? Yes. And no. Because Krishna's Rasa Vihari. When our hearts are going out for his comforts, Krishna, he wants that love. Why does he want that love? Because it will make you happy. Because he loves you. It's like we have these electrical power outlets, and you plug in a device in that, whether it's a cell phone or a fan or an air conditioner or a light. Now the reality is, you need to plug in to function in that way. So we need to plug into Krishna's mercy if we want to function as happy spiritual beings. So Krishna's calling us to plug in so he can just give us the current of his Shakti, his Bhakti Shakti. And then in Madhurya Ras, Balaram, he takes the form of Srimati Radharani's young sister, Ananga Manjari, to be right there to assist in the most confidential pastimes without creating a disturbance of being an elder brother. In every way, Balaram is facilitating everyone to be happy with Krishna, and Krishna to be happy with everyone. And ultimately, in every way, he knows that Krishna's life and soul is Radharani's love and compassion. So in his eternal existence is facilitating the happiness of Sri Sri Radha Gopinath. And he is Radha Gopinath. But if Radha Gopinath does not become the devotees, then that perfect loving reciprocation will not exist. Every one of us, jivas, we are the jiva tattva, tatashta shakti. We are all part and parcel of Krishna. We have eternally existed simply with the potential of giving Krishna the joy of receiving his love and offering our love. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vidi tattva tatyaktva deham punarjama naiti mameti sorjana. And now, with your permission, I'll begin today's lecture. Why does Krishna come to this world? He tells us in one little verse, everything is right there. One who understands the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities will never take birth again in this world, but attain my eternal abode. So Krishna comes and performs his pastimes, not just to enjoy pastimes in this world, but to set a record by which anyone who tries to understand it hears about it and harmonizes their life with these teachings for all time to come. We could all get liberation, because hearing about Krishna is non-different than being in the time and the place of what we're hearing. It's transcendental sound. Krishna's non-different than his name. Krishna's non-different than Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada describes that the nectar of devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, is an incarnation of Srimati Radharani. So if to the degree we're actually receptive and attentive, we are with Krishna. So Krishna performs these beautiful pastimes and gives so many wonderful teachings directly and through his devotees out of mercy and compassion for the people of this world. So we will briefly discuss the appearance of Lord Balaram, with your permission. This story is described primarily in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And it is the Srimad Bhagavatam version of story. There is much details and elaborations in the Haribamsa by Vyasadeva, in the commentaries, Sridhar Swami, Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Prabhupada. There's so many wonderful ways that devotees with their realizations and their love are sharing with us. The Gopal Champu of Jiva Goswami has always been one of the primary sources of information for these Krishna's Leelas. So I'll speak from some of these. Shukadev Goswami begins in Mathura. And according to the Bhagavatam, in 8 days will be Janmashtami, Krishna's birthday. So I think we'll have a little more time to discuss it then. Maybe. But in Mathura, Vasudeva and Devaki are married. And so many beautiful details of the marriage ceremony. And everybody's happy. Because this is a royal marriage. As the ceremony is coming to an end, Devaki is brought by Vasudeva on a beautiful procession with everybody singing and dancing and showering flowers and playing musical instruments and Brahmins doing prayers to bring Devaki to Vasudeva's home. Because previously she was living at the home of her own family, Maharaj Devaka. So Devaki's cousin brother was very, very powerful. But he had an affectionate side. But it was, in bhakti, affection is throughout. In material life, affection is very conditional. Ahaitaki apratihata. True bhakti is unconditional, uninterrupted affection. And expressed through service, seva. So Kamsa really wanted to make his sister happy. And he was such an important person. He said, I will take you I will take you and drive the chariot to your home, just so that you feel comfortable that your brother's with you. And everybody was really appreciating this. It's actually a great honor for a few minutes. But whoever we are, however powerful, however wealthy, however learned, however influential, however victorious, and Kamsa was all those things. A voice came from the sky, and he couldn't see who it was. You know, when you can see somebody, you can debate with them or something, or try to, stop them from their threats. But there was an unembodied voice, and everybody could hear it. It said, "Kamsa, you are a fool. The 8th child of your sister will kill you." He was really an extreme embodiment of materialistic life. We find this in Ravana, in Hiranyakashipu. The scriptures give us extreme, just so that even when in our life we don't see such extremes, but we can recognize it because we understand and we take it seriously by the extreme. Hiranyakashipu just said, Prahlad, just, try to learn something better. But he was so extremely cruel and envious, because we need such examples so that we can actually understand how serious it really is. That's why in these beautiful pastimes of the Lord, we see saintly people who are just so extraordinarily saintly. And we see demoniac people who are so extremely demoniac. Why can't there just be kind of regular saintly and demoniac people? Because we wouldn't get the lesson. It's very black and white. What is material and what is spiritual? Kamsa heard this, drew his sword. And can't even imagine what his sword was like. Each of his arms had the strength of 10,000 male elephants of Dwapara Yuga. The elephants of Kali Yuga are like pet cats compared to the way they were in those days. Can you imagine the type of sword he carried? He drew it, grabbed Devaki by the hair, and with wrath, fear and wrath in his eyes, he was about to sever her head without hesitation. Vasudeva, he just got married to her that night. He loves Krishna. So what does detachment between a husband and wife mean? We find Vasudeva, his detachment wasn't, I'm not attached. Kamsa, you could do whatever you like. I'm not attached. I'll move on in life. I'll join the brahmacharya. He cared. He cared about his wife. I'm not going to judge, but perhaps as much as you care about your wife. And because he had such pure love for Krishna, he cared about his wife beyond what we could even imagine. And he did everything within his power to protect Devaki's life. Because for him, This is Krishna's daughter entrusted in my care. I will die to protect her. You know, Ram went on an entire world war to protect Sita. And Hanuman was a brahmachari. He was jumping over oceans and carrying mountains and getting his body filled with arrows and everything to protect Ram's wife. So what is the responsibility of family life? This is extreme, but it's a really good lesson. It's not this neophyteness that renunciation means I don't care. It means you really care, but you care for the right purpose. Devaki's Krishna's daughter. I must protect her. She's in my care. And he tried to stop Kamsa, but his physical strength was incomparable to Kamsa's. He couldn't fight him. So he tried to be logical and philosophical, and nothing worked. He tried to tell him about the laws of karma, and you know, when somebody's really, their egos are on fire. Srila Prabhupada says if somebody's really hungry, usually philosophy, they can't hear it. You give them prasad. And then once they're satisfied, they can understand philosophy. And my experience is that that method really works. In my own life, I was teaching Bhagavad Gita with thousands of classes and everything like that, and then I started teaching vegetarian cooking classes, and everyone wanted to learn Bhagavad Gita. Not everybody, but more. So, you know, we have to do the needful. Vasudeva said to Kamsa, you have no danger from Devaki. It's her 8th child. I vow, I will bring every child that is born and give to you. What was Vasudeva's integrity? That such a demoniac person like Kamsa knew 100%, even if it meant his own children being slaughtered, Vasudeva would never go back on his word. And this is a very significant lesson. It's extreme. But if we want people to believe what we're telling them, we need to earn their trust. And that's why character is so important within a devotional community. Srila Prabhupada would say, our movement exists and will spread on the basis of love and trust. And trust is necessary to actually express love. If somebody doesn't trust us, why will they be willing to take a chance of following something that's so different than what the rest of the world is saying? Kamsa said yes. And Vasudeva, he did it. A little baby was born, and he brought the baby to Kamsa. And Kamsa was so overwhelmed with appreciation. You're willing to make this risk just to be true to your word? I have no danger from this. It's the 8th child. Bring him home, enjoy. So he brought him home. The child's name was Kirtiman. But then Narada Muni happened to visit Kamsa. Narada Muni Bhajayi Vina Radhika Ramana Name. You know, what type of kata he gave Kamsa? Vaishnavera Kriyama. It's very difficult to understand the mind of a Vaishnav. But he really knew. He was like a surgeon. Sometimes has to, use drastic means to save. He was thinking of everyone in the He was thinking of everyone in the world for all time to come. He was part of a plan to bring Krishna to the world. And not just, some Brahmin sent an invitation with some sweets. When Krishna comes to the world, there's usually really an emergency situation to make it exciting. Narsingadev, Prahlad didn't just send him an invitation. So Narada Muni, he knew everything behind the scenes. He said, in the Harivamsa, it's actually very extended dialogue describing Narada Muni's words, and Srimad Bhagavatam tells. He said, Kamsa, I happened to be traveling around with my Veena, and I came to a satsang with so many Brahmins and demigods and rishis, and they were all talking about how Krishna is planning to come to the world. And he told the demigods, your enemies, to take birth in the Yadu dynasty, in the Vrishni dynasty, just to assist him in destroying you and all of your people. That's what I heard. And one more thing. In your past life, your name was Kalanemi, and Krishna killed you. And he's come to kill you again. Narada Muni Bhajayi. So much for Kamsa's loving relation with his sister and brother-in-law. He immediately arrested them and put them in prison with shackles. And then a baby was born. Now, it wasn't that they were attached to sense enjoyment. Why would they have babies? Because they knew that they were preparing for Krishna coming. And as soon as the baby, first Kamsa killed the first baby, and then he killed the second and the third and the fourth and the fifth and the sixth. But Narada Muni understood who these babies were. There was, what was that rishi's name? Marichi. Maricha or Marichi? Marichi, yes, Marichi. Thank you, Braj Bihari Prabhu Radheshan. He was born of Lord Brahma's mind, and he represents the mind. And he had 6 children, which represent the enemies of the mind. Kama, Krodha, lust, anger, envy, greed, arrogance, and illusion, moha. And he understood that they were, it's a long story and I'm only going to speak for a moment. They were living in the higher planets as devatas. And they made an offense to Brahma. And because of that offense, they had to come to take 2 births as demons. They became the sons of Hiranyakashipu first. And they weren't like Prahlad. But one time they went out to perform yoga and tapasya. And they didn't ask Hiranyakashipu's permission. So he cursed them to be killed by their father. He was actually a grandfather. The father was Kalanemi. And Kalanemi came back as Kamsa to kill them. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and the other acharyas, they describe, Srila Prabhupada tells, that in order for Krishna to come, first we must be purified of these 6 enemies. And actually, after they were killed by Kamsa, eventually they got to drink the milk of Devaki and they went back to the spiritual world. So Narada Muni was everybody's well-wisher. After those 6 children were dispatched by Kamsa, Lord Balaram entered into the womb of Devaki. Why? To prepare an all-attractive place filled with bhava so that Krishna would want to come. You know, in a very simplistic way, we build temples and we build beautiful altars and we try to develop nice communities so that Krishna will want to come to manifest himself for the welfare and the well-being of the whole world. Krishna is only attracted to pure love. So Lord Balaram enters into the womb as a little embryo kind of baby, enters into the womb of Devaki just to prepare her womb and to prepare her heart with so much of his love. He was like the advance party. You know how sometimes when politicians come, there's like all kinds of securities and secret agents and everything, and they clean everything and they make everything just perfect? Well, on a spiritual level, Balaram, Krishna's not going to come. And he knew Krishna was going to come, so he wanted to make everything so nice. And the combination of Balaram's ecstatic, loving preparations in the womb and Devaki's motherly love for Krishna made her heart and her womb irresistible for Krishna. Adosha sadhu sangota bhajanakriya. At the beginning, there's a little faith. Faith brings us to the association of devotees. Both association of sadhus, satsang. From that we learn bhajanakriya. We learn how to purify our heart by hearing the glories of the Lord, by chanting the glories of the Lord, by performing puja, by performing seva, archana, and all of these wonderful 9 processes of devotional service. And by doing this, the 6 enemies are cleansed from our heart. And after they're completely cleansed, still, it's not attractive to Krishna. Because when we have no more false ego, no more lust, no more greed, no more envy, no more anger, no more illusions, no more envy, still, that doesn't attract Krishna. They were all gone. When they were gone, then Balaram came himself to fill it with prema bhakti. And that is why Balaram is the original guru. He's not only teaching us how to purify our hearts, but even in the pure state, he's teaching us how to please Krishna. Because it's not just the negation of the negative that pleases Krishna. That's necessary. But it's the positive acceptance of seva that pleases Krishna. Meanwhile, in Gokul, Nanda Maharaj is king, Yashoda Maya is his queen. They're cowherd, boy, man and woman, and everybody in the Brajabasi community loved them more than they loved their lives. Why? Because Nanda and Yashoda loved every Brajabasi, every cow, every bird, every peacock, everyone. They were willing to sacrifice their everything for everyone's welfare. And the reciprocation is every single community member was willing to sacrifice everything to help them, to make them happy. There was total love and trust. No one was happy because Nanda and Yashoda for years and years had no children. And they were, the family members, Upananda and Abhinandan and Sunanda and Nandan, and they were arranging pujas, and everybody else was arranging, so many prayers. And Devaki and Vasudeva, they were having these visions of this beautiful, beautiful little child. Vasudeva said, I saw this beautiful child who had lotus-like eyes and complexion like a monsoon cloud. And he was describing the beauty. He said, I totally fell in love with this child. I can't live with this child. I can't think of anything except this child. And Devaki said, I had the same vision. I was too shy to tell you about it. But I'm 24 hours a day longing for this child. But to get this child, it's not going to be, just through pious activities. It's only through pure devotional service. So they practiced. And meanwhile, the Brijabasis, they were feeling so much deep, deep anguish that Nanda and Yashoda had no children. And one day, an elderly Brahmin lady came to Gokul. And she was so effulgent with purity and compassion and wisdom that the Brijabasis welcomed her. This was something very, very special. And she introduced herself. My name is Purnamasi, and this little child that I'm with is my grandchild. He's a Brahmin boy. His name is Madhumangala. My son is Sandipani Muni. My daughter-in-law is Sumukhi Devi, and their child is Madhumangala. And I brought him here. And my guru is Narada Muni. They were quite enraptured hearing this. And then she said, I am going to give you a blessing that will make you so happy. Very soon, Nanda and Yashoda will have a child. And this child will be the most beautiful, the most merciful, the most wonderful child. He will give infinite, ever-increasing joy to all of Gokul and to the universe. And all the Brijabasis started dancing and saying, Ki Jai. You sound tired and hungry. Please try again. It's happy news. So they wanted her to stay. So they found out what makes her happy. They built a little hut on the bank of Yamuna for her. And she decided to stay there with her little Madhu Mangala. Meanwhile, in Mathura, Balaram is still preparing the womb and the heart of Devaki. He was filling it with so much bhakti that Krishna would come. And Devaki, in her prayers, she was just filled with love. Motherly love, the power of motherly love. Brotherly love and motherly love. When you put them together with Devaki and Balaram, then the all-attractive is attracted. And that's our qualification. What did we do to get Krishna to incarnate? It was Devaki and Balaram and all these great souls who were attracting Krishna to come. At that time, Krishna, Vasudeva had several wives. Devaki was in prison with him, but he wanted them to be protected. So he sent all of his wives to Gokul to be under the protection of Nanda Maharaj. And his second wife, Rohini, was at the time 3 months pregnant. Vasudeva and Nanda Maharaj were the very, very best friends. They were so different, but they were one. Unity and diversity. Nanda Maharaj was a simple cowherd man, and Yashoda was a simple gopi. And Vasudeva was a royal, kingly prince in the city of Mathura. But their trust, their love for each other was so deep. When Rohini came across Yamuna to Gokul from Mathura, and she met Yashoda, it is described by Jiva Goswami, it was like the Ganga and Yamuna coming together at Prayag. It's like two became one in love, affection. Krishna then, all this is going on, Krishna called Yogamaya and told Yogamaya that I want you to transfer the child of Devaki across the Yamuna to Gokul into the womb of Rohini. And then I want you to become the daughter of Yashoda. And I'll be there as your brother. And this beautiful conversation was there. Yogamaya accepted the instruction and circumambulated the Supreme Lord and said, Om, I will. And then she did. According to the acharyas in the spiritual world, Rohini is a wife of Vasudeva, and she's the eternal mother of Balaram, the original mother. But yet, in this world, Devaki is also his mother because Balaram spent many months in her womb. One night, Rohini was then 7 months pregnant. She was in a deep state of sleep. right at midnight, she had a dream. And it was a horrible dream. She had a miscarriage. For a loving mother to have a dream like that, she was jolted out of her sleep. And then she examined herself, and it was true. She did have a miscarriage. There was no child. At least that's the way it appeared. So she was in a very, very morose state. At that moment, there was a voice of Yogamaya. She said, I am attracting the child from Devaki's womb into your womb, and he will be known as Shankarshan. He's bringing the two families together. And some of our acharyas described that the two Balarams actually merged into one in the womb of Rohini. And when the transfer was done, what happened in the preparations of Krishna's appearance is something that perhaps we will discuss on Janmashtami. But Balaram was now preparing for Krishna to come to Gokul. And he was simply waiting and waiting and waiting for his brother Krishna to come. And he stayed in the womb of Rohini for 14 months because he wanted to be Krishna's age. That way they could play together very nicely. So he wanted to, he didn't want to be younger than Krishna. Because as Lakshman, there was a lot of trouble being a younger brother. Make a pyre and tell Sita to go into the fire. Bring her to Valmiki's Muni's ashram for the rest. Lakshman was Balaram himself. Actually, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Goloka, his first original expansion, none different than himself, is Balaram, who's simply the absolute truth in a mood of serving the absolute truth and facilitating every type of service for all of us. That's why he's the original guru. In the bhakti tradition, the guru never claims to be God. The guru simply wants to serve God and bring others to God's love eternally. That was what was taught by Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ballabhacharya, all these great acharyas, Nimbarkacharya. Jivara Swarupoi Krishna Nityadas. We're all eternally loving servants of Krishna. So Balaram, he took birth as Krishna's older brother. Because as younger brother, he has to obey whatever Ram told Lakshman he had to do. But that brought him a lot of pain. It was ecstatic pain, but still. He wanted the freedom to show affection as an older brother. So he timed it where he was 8 days older. So when he came out, when Krishna was born and he was born, they were like the same size and everything. And Srimad Bhagavatam tells so many beautiful stories. How when Krishna and Balaram were little babies, Rohini Devi, Balaram's mother, and Yashoda Mai, Krishna's mother, they lived for their children. And everyone in Vrindavan lived to assist Nanda and Yashoda in making their children happy. It's really amazing. Krishna was so attractive, and Balaram was so attractive, that every young gopi just, they gradually just wanted to love Krishna. And all the elderly gopis and gopas, they loved their own children more than anybody can possibly understand what love for a child is. And that's a lot, because love for a child is the deepest thing there is in this world. But at the same time, mysteriously, they loved Krishna and Balaram even more. And that's wonderful. By loving Krishna and Balaram, it doesn't take away our love from others. It actually increases, intensifies, and enhances it, because it's like watering the root of the tree. The love goes everywhere. So everybody just loved Krishna and Balaram. But at the same time, and this is where the spiritual principle, which is inconceivable in this world, there was no envy. Usually if somebody else has what you want, you become envious of them. But in spirituality, when Krishna is in the center, there can be no envy. Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, the qualification of actually understanding these teachings is not intellectual scholarship. The qualification for understanding these teachings of Bhagavad Gita is to be without envy. This material world, there's so much envy. But in Vrindavan, the Brijabasis, they loved Krishna and Balaram more than anything. And they craved to offer, to be their mother and father. But they had no envy for Nanda and Yashoda. They had full, total, ever-expanding satisfaction just assisting Nanda and Yashoda in making Krishna and Balaram happy. That is the spiritual world. It's not the haves and have-nots. If there's no envy, everyone has. And that's a great lesson. And that's community. Yashoda Mai and Rohini Devi, there's not that much talk about Nanda Maharaj in the really early days. It's mostly Yashoda, because the mother is the one who's really on the, and Rohini. They would just be holding their little children, and after some time, they found the greatest fascination in seeing tiny little specks of white coming in the form of teeth. And they would compare, they would count. You see this tooth? Yes, yes. Now this is what it means to be transcendental. And after some months, they started to learn to crawl. And when they were crawling, they would crawl in the mud and the cow dung and the cow urine among the little calves. And one time, Krishna and Balaram, they saw two little calves sitting down, just newborn calves. And they grabbed the tail of the calf. They were crawling. They didn't learn how to walk yet. And the calf got scared and jumped up and started running. And Krishna and Balaram, they were appearing to be really afraid. So they were holding as tight as they can to the tail. So they were afraid if they let go, they would be hurt. And the calves were afraid because somebody was holding their tail. So the calves were running and they were being dragged through the cow dung, the sacred dust, and the cow urine of Vrindavan. And the gopis were watching this. And they were smiling and laughing and clapping in happiness. Just like that. And sometimes they would be looking for their mother, Yashoda and Rohini, and they'd be lost, kind of just crawling around, and they'd hear ankle bells tinkling. And they'd be rushing, crawling to get, and they'd go to a gopi, and when they'd hear the bells and they'd come to the feet of that gopi, the gopi would come down, reach down, and they would see it's not their mothers, and they'd crawl away. Nanda Maharaj was trying to teach both of them how to walk. This is described. He would hold out his little finger like this. And Krishna and Balaram would hold on to the finger, and he would lift up. And he would take a step, and they would try to take a step, and then they would slip down from the finger and fall to the ground. And all the gopis who were watching, they'd say, no, you did really good, Krishna and Balaram. You did, just try again, keep trying, you'll learn. Now, what a philosophical revelation this is. Bhagavad Gita. Krishna tells, I'm the ability in all people. I'm the strength of the strong. I'm the intelligence of the intelligent. Whatever we can do to talk, to see, to hear, to walk, to do anything, it's only by the mercy of God. He's providing this, he's empowering. The soul is an expansion of himself to have life. And the brain and the body and all the limbs are all provided by his nature, Prakriti. But yet, he's learning to walk. Does that make sense? It makes more than sense. It doesn't make sense, it makes more than sense. In the sense, Krishna and Balaram are acting in this way. And they're not just acting, they're actually experiencing this just to attract the love of their devotees. Now, here it is, over 5,000 years since that happened. And we're listening to it and we're thinking, oh, Krishna is so... As we develop love for God, these stories awaken a love that is beyond any satisfaction in creation. So Krishna's simply, not only for Yashoda and Rohini, but also for all of us to hear how the almighty, all great, all powerful, absolute truth, the source of Narasimhadev, the source of Varahadev, the source of Mahavishnu, the source of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, the source of Ramchandra, the source of Parasuram, the source of everything that exists. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate. Krishna says, I am the source of all material and spiritual worlds. Everything emanates from me. And yet they're learning how to crawl and they're learning how to walk just to attract our hearts and give us the opportunity. And Srila Prabhupada explains that The love of a child for a parent is a love that is oriented around a lot of taking. Yes, the parent is giving, and the child is taking. But the love for a parent to a little child is nothing but giving. And Krishna wants to give us the opportunity to have that love for Him, love of God in just this total of giving, where Krishna is helplessly depending on me. And actually that's the way a pujari sees the deities in their homes. For those of you who have altars in your homes, or when you come to Sri Radha Gopinath temple or another temple, yes, Krishna is hungry for food 6 times a day. Why is He hungry for food? All food is coming from Him. Whatever food we're having to give Him, He's giving us. But He's not thinking like that. He's hungry because it's giving us an opportunity to selflessly love and serve. That's bhakti. So gradually Krishna and Balaram learned how to walk. And immediately they began their pastimes of stealing butter, Makhan Chora Leelas, and they were having limitless pastimes. After a couple years, they were given charge of the calves. And later they were given charge of the cows. And Balaram, Krishna's original expansion, the original guru of all gurus, who is present within all gurus for all time to come as the spiritual force. He is Rama because he gives great happiness to his devotees and to Krishna. He's Shankarshan because he brought the families of Vasudeva and the Brijabasis together. And he's Baladev, which means or Balarama, because he enjoys exhibiting the supreme, inconceivable power of strength. He's the source of all spiritual strength. So Balaram Jayanti, it's really a day that we need to understand because we need to be strong. Strength to resist immoral temptations. So many obstacles of nature, obstacles of other people, insects, snakes, thieves, other nations who are enemies, even sometimes the person sitting next to you in Srimad Bhagavatam class. So many obstacles. It's a world of obstacles, imminent. How to have the strength to pass through it with spiritual integrity in such a way that we're pleasing Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. For that, we need to take shelter of Lord Balaram through this Guru Tattva, through the strength and the power of devotion. In Talavan, Balaram's delivered Dhenukasura, who was so mighty and so powerful and so aggressive and so cruel. He was a massive animal, a personal associate of Kamsa that would eat humans alive. Balaram just went. His friend said, there's nice fruits there, but we can't go because of this Denuka. But we really want to enjoy these fruits. So Balaram said, I'll go. And he went in and started shaking the fruits, and Dhenukasura came, and nobody dared to cross him. Balaram was just standing calmly. Dhenukasura kicked him with his hind legs, so powerful. Balaram just stood there. Dhenukasura was so insulted that he couldn't harm him. He did it again and again and again, and then Balaram effortlessly with one hand picked him up, swirled him around, and threw him to the top of a tree. And then all Dhenukasura's, like, his military friends, it was like a gang of horrible monsters. They all came. You know, whatever monsters and horror movies, maybe in novels and books and cinemas, they can't ever create somebody like Dhenukasura. He was really bad. And Balaram gave him liberation and all his friends. And then in Bandiravan, another great tyrant monster, Pralambasura, came to kill Krishna and Balaram and all the Brijabasis. And Balaram, you know, he disguised himself as one of the cowherd boys who didn't come to the pastures that day. And they were playing. And Balaram lost. No, Balaram won the game. Yes, and Krishna was on the other side. They were the captains. And Pralamba joined Krishna's side. And the penalty for losing is you have to carry the winner on your shoulders. So this little Pralamba cowherd boy, he looked so sweet and so nice and everything like that. Balaram got on his shoulders, and then he started running in the Bandiravan forest, deeper and deeper and deeper. And Balaram was thinking, where's he taking me? Balaram did not want to be separated from his friends because they were playing so nicely. He wasn't so concerned with killing a demon. He just wanted to play with his friends. So he became heavy, little by little. And Pralambasura took on a huge form like a mountain. And Balaram, with his hand, he just went. Pralambasura was finished, liberated. And then later on, there was Dravida. That happened, I think, at the Raivata mountain near Dwarka. He was actually one of the soldiers from Ram's army. But somehow or other he offended Lakshman. He was envious of Lakshman. He did some aparad, so he kept living, but he became demoniac. And he was so powerful, he would stir the ocean, and there would be tidal waves all over the place. And Balaram also liberated him. And then in Naimisharanya, when he was on pilgrimage, Romaharshan, he was taking the role of a representative of Vyas because he was so learned and so attractive in the way he spoke. But he did not have respect for others. He was arrogant. And Balaram wanted to show the world that this type of arrogance means you don't really understand anything. And he scolded Romaharsha and then touched him with a piece of grass. And Romaharsha was liberated. Then the people of Naimisharanya, the sages there, they said, we just gave him the benediction that before speaking he would live a long life. And now you just counteracted everything. He said, well, we can transfer that benediction to his son. His son was Sutta Goswami, the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, who heard it from Sukadev Goswami. And then Balaram was so humble, he said, give me an atonement. So there was another asura named Balvala, who was really creating havoc in the world. And Balaram liberated him. Such power. And he went to Hastinapur. This was before the Battle of Kurukshetra, when the Pandavas, the Kurus, they were more or less together still. He went there on a mission from Krishna to ask for Krishna's son to come back, Samba. And first, a name of Balaram is Duryodhana Guru, which means he actually was the guru for Duryodhana, and he taught him how to use clubs, and he was just very kind to everyone. And he understood how to make pastimes really interesting for Krishna to enjoy and to attract our minds when we hear about it. So they were all worshiping him and honoring him, and then he said, now please give me Samba. And they said, who are you? Who is a Yadu asking a Kuru? You are telling us you have no right. Whatever you have is only by our grace. And they were speaking like this. Balaram said, you are saying that you have to ask Krishna, that Krishna needs to ask your permission. You are saying that Krishna is depending on you? He wasn't thinking of himself, he was only thinking of Krishna. And he took his plow and... I have a cough, so I can't do special effects. With one blow of his plow, the entire Hastinapur became separated from the earth planet. And then with his plow in the ground, he began to drag the whole kingdom of Hastinapur to throw it in the river. And all the Kuru dynasty, Bhishma, Drona, Karna, all of them together, they understood, we're finished. The power of Balaram is more than all of us together multiplied by millions. So they all humbly came forward with Samba in the front. and his wife that he had just taken, and said, please, we just wanted to see you perform your pastimes of strength. But of course, you take Samba back to Krishna. That is Balaram's power. And then there is the beautiful story of when Balaram went back to Vrindavan at Ramghat on the bank of Yamuna, where he was performing Rasa Leela with his gopis. He came from Dwarka to do that. And that's when, with his plow, he showed his prowess to Mother Yamuna, who with great love and devotion surrendered to him. Balaram is the source of all spiritual strength. He's the power and strength aspect of God to overcome all obstacles. And therefore, we take shelter of Lord Balaram. In next incarnation, Balaram Brajendra Nandana Jay Sachishuta Hoilo She Balarama Hoilo Nitai. He comes as Lord Nityananda. And he shows a strength far greater than the powers he exhibited as Balaram. Now, one thing that's important to understand is all the avatars. Narayan, in the spiritual world, the avatars of Narayan, Vishnu, they're all secondary expansions of Balaram coming from Krishna, according to the Vedic scriptures. And in the material world, Krishna expands as Balaram. Balaram is the Chaturvyuha in the Vaikuntha planet. So when it comes for creation, the Shankarshan of the Chaturvyuha secondary manifests as Karanadakshayi Vishnu, who's actually the creator of the entire cosmic creation, which includes all universes. And then he enters into each universe as Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. And then Garbhodakshayi Vishnu enters into each universe as the leader of that universe, the Kshirodaya ocean, and then he enters as the Paramatma in everyone's heart. These are the expansions, expansions, expansions. And all the avatars are emanating Krishna through Balaram. Narsingha, Varaha, Kurma, Ram. They're all, they have their existence eternally in Vaikuntha, but when they come to incarnate, they do through the agency of Balaram's powers. And he comes as Lord Nityananda, and he doesn't have weapons. His power was far greater than he ever exhibited before. His power was compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, humility. He loved everyone. Just as Balaram did everything for Krishna, Lord Nityananda did everything as for Lord Chaitanya. He went house to house, village to village, bathing ghat to bathing ghat, shop to shop, along with Haridas Thakur, who's Brahma in previous birth. They would come with folded hands, with straw between their teeth and humility, and beg people. Worship Krishna. Hear about Krishna, speak about Krishna. Remember Krishna. Krishna's your mother, Krishna's your father, Krishna's your real wealth, and Krishna's your life and soul. And Krishna's come in this age of Kali in the form of his holy names. Everyone, I beg you, I pray, I fall at your feet requesting, chant the names of Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Dina hina yatachilo harinam udharilo tara sakshi jagai madhai. To such an extent, he didn't consider who was fit. Whether you were a simple mother, or whether you were a working in the farms, or making clay pots, or whether you were a king or a queen, whether you were a highly learned Brahmin, or you didn't even know how to say the alphabet. Just chant the names of Krishna, and you will be my life and soul. And when they approached Jagai and Madhai, who were the worst, most dangerous, cruel dacoits on the earth, they attacked Lord Nityananda. They beat him on the head, made him bleed with a pot. He's Balaram. He could have just gone like this. And they would have died and gone to the lowest planet. But he was crying, not because his head hurt, because he felt so much compassion. I don't care that you hurt me, but I'm suffering because you're suffering. The opportunity The opportunity for Krishna Prema is yours. Take it, please. And this was such an insult that we're going to hit him again. And Lord Chaitanya appeared with the Sudarshan Chakra. He never did this before. And Lord Nityananda Prabhu prayed, my Lord, if you kill them, you might as well kill everyone, because everyone in Kali Yuga is more or less like this. Whatever good things I've ever done in any lifetimes, I trade it, but give them Krishna Prema. When they saw that Lord Nityananda praying for them with such love and compassion, their hearts totally changed and they became Mahatmas. They became eternally liberated, pure devotees of the Lord. In fact, even today in Katwa, devotees worship the Samadhi of Madhai. So it is this power of Lord Nityananda that has come in this age as Nityananda Prabhu, the power of Balaram. And our beloved founder Acharya, Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, like Lord Nityananda, Haribo, wonderful that you came. Thank you so much. Sorry if I'm going over time. Thank you, thank you. Essentially, the same mission. Nityananda Prabhu went from house to house. Srila Prabhupada was going from house to house, from nation to nation, from continent to continent, with exactly the same message. Whatever you've done, whatever you haven't done, just take the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu to heart and chant the holy names of the Lord. And you will be eternally liberated with prema. Srila Prabhupada, when he was going to the West, in his letter he wrote a beautiful poem of prayer to Krishna, and he signed it, "Your insignificant beggar." Now that is deeply humble, because he wasn't like putting it on the internet for everyone to say. It was, he didn't even know it was still there. Years later, a devotee found it. It was just between him and Krishna, when he had nothing. But that was the mood of Nityananda Prabhu. The all-powerful, supreme, absolute truth, the source of Narayan, the husband of Lakshmi, is begging, because Parama Karuna Pahundu Ijana Nitai Gaurachandra. That is our life and soul that we want to help. And our communities are built on this principle, to assist this great mission of Balaram in his most merciful, munificent form as the assistant of Lord Chaitanya to spread the Sankirtan movement, and to assist our beloved Srila Prabhupada, who's giving us the opportunity to be a part of this pastime, even today. So let us pray to Lord Shri Krishna and Balaram for their causeless mercy. When Srila Prabhupada, after so many years of traveling, he came back to his home of Vrindavan, and he was given a piece of land in Ramanreti, which is at that time like a distant pasture from the town of Vrindavan. And he said there are so many there are thousands of Radha Krishna temples, but there is no temple of Krishna and Balaram. And he especially wanted a temple of Krishna Balaram so that the whole world could understand the way of understanding Radha Shama Sundar and approaching them is through the mercy of Gaur Nitai, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. Krishna and Balaram of Vrindavan has appeared to give Vrindavan to the whole world as Nitai Gaura Chandra. Parama Karuna Pahum Duijana Nitai Gaura Chandra. And it just so happens that the name of the deities in this temple are Nitai Gaura Chandra. So we have all come to the right place to seek shelter of Lord Nityananda Prabhu and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in their shelter the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna will be revealed to us. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. निताय को प्रेमानंदी हरे कृष्ण
जय राधा गोपीनाथ राधा गोपीनाथ राधे जय राधा गोपीनाथ राधा गोपीनाथ राधे जय राधा गोपीनाथ राधा गोपीनाथ राधे शिव जय जय गौरांचंदे आरती शोभा शिव जय जय गौराचंदे आरती शोभा शिव जय जय गौराचंदे आरती को शोभा शिव जय जय गौराचंदे आरती को शोभा जानवी तटवान जगमन लोभा जानवी तटवान जगमन लोभा गौरांगे आरती का शोभा जग जन मन लोभा गौरांगे आरती का शोभा जग जन मन लोभा गौरांगे naritai chan mame gadadara nikate advaita srini vasa chatradara Gauranchan Ratna Singhathane Arati Karena Brahma Adi Devagane Adi Kore Jamar Dulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Mathu घंटा बाजे बाजे करताला मधुरम संग बाजे परम रसाला शंका बाजे घंटा बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे शंका बाजे घंटा बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे गौरंगे आरती शोभा जगजान मन लोभा निताई गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताई गौर हरि बोल कि बहू कोटि चंद्र जीनी बदन उज्ज्वला कि बहू चंद्र दीनी बदन उज्ज्वला गाल दिशे बाना माला कौन झलमाला शिवा सुख नारद प्रेमी गदगद भक्ति विनोद देखे गौरार संपाद गौरांगे आरती शोभा जग जन मन लोभा गौरांगे आरती शोभा जग जन मन लोभा निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरा भक्त वृंदा Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Gaur Premanande. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahans Parivrgacharya Ashtottar A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami जगत गुरु शील प्रभुपाद की आनंद कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिव सदि गौर भक्त वृंद की ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय, मथुरा धाम की जय, जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय, मायापुर धाम की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, सामवेद भक्त वृंद की निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. बोलो श्री कृष्ण बलराम की.
नमस्ते नरसिंहाया प्रहलाद लाद दायिने हिरण्यकशिपुर्भक्षः शीलतङ्का नखालये इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा अहि नरसिंहा जय नरसिंहा नरसिंह हमारे शरणं प्रपदे तब कर कमल वरे लगा अतुल श्रृंगार ललिता हिरण्यकशिपो सानुमृता विषवक्रीता हरहरिरूपा जय जगदीशा रे जय जगदीशा रे जय जगदीशा रे लक्ष्मी नरसिंह देव भगवान की भक्तराज प्रहलाद महाराज की जय निताई गो प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल.